The Embraer 190 lighting system provides lighting to all essential parts of the aircraft. It assures safe and proper operation under normal and emergency conditions. Inside the aircraft, light is provided to the cockpit, cabin, cargo and service compartments. Outside light is provided for navigation, orientation, and identification. In the event of an emergency evacuation, a group of 3 overwing emergency lights located near each overwing emergency exit will illuminate to indicate the evacuation direction. In case of total power loss, power units provide temporary DC power for emergency lighting.
The flight compartment lighting system provides lighting to the work area, panels, and instruments, and consists of the following subsystems. The cockpit light system, which provides beam ambient lighting, used on the sidewalls, seats, and floor of the crew station and observer area. The instrument and control panel light system, which provides lighting for instruments, panels, and push buttons. And the flood storm light system, which provides a proper lighting level in the cockpit for the instruments and assures instrument readability. The cockpit lights include the following components: 2 dome lights located on the cockpit ceiling, which are controlled by a switch on the overhead panel. Power to the dome lights is supplied by the essential DC bus number 3. This permits cockpit lighting in electrical emergency conditions. The pilot, co-pilot, and observer reading lights installed on the ceiling. They help the flight crew to read maps, checklists, and manuals. The lighting intensity level can be adjusted by clockwise or counterclockwise movements of the reading light's inner bezel. The units permit a light beam orientation, zoom, and full movement in any direction by turning the outer bezel. The pilot's and co-pilot's chart holder assembly each have an associated chart light for adequate illumination. They are located over the left and right side windows. 2 on-off variable intensity potentiometers located on the pilot's and co-pilot's glare shield panels control the chart holder light's brightness. Turning the knob to the full counterclockwise position turns the light off. The light's control panel is integrated into the overhead panel. It corresponds with the on-off light control knobs. Turning these control knobs in the clockwise direction brightens the background lights of the main panel, the overhead panel, and the pedestal. As a discrete function of the overhead panel control knob, the background lights can be set to bright or dim illumination. Turning the overhead panel lights off will automatically set the annunciator lights to bright intensity. The annunciator lights can be tested by pushing the annunciator lights test push switch. The floodlights, also called storm lights, provide sufficient lighting intensity to illuminate the main cockpit panel and prevent cabin crew blinding during lightning conditions. The floodlights, located under the main panel, are controlled by an on-off variable intensity control knob on the glare shield panel. The pilot's PFD, MFD, and ICUS display brightness controls are located on the left glare shield panel, while the co-pilot's PFD, MFD, and standby instruments brightness controls are located on the right glare shield panel. The passenger compartment lighting system provides illumination for the cabin. The system consists of the passenger cabin light system, the passenger warning sign system, the reading and attendant call light system, the courtesy stair light system, the lavatory light system, the galley light system, and the entrance light system. The passenger cabin lights provide general illumination of the cabin and include the ceiling lights, mounted above the passenger service unit structure, and the sidewall lights mounted along the sidewalls. Control is provided by 4 switches located on the forward and aft flight attendants panel. 2 of the switches are used to turn the lights on and off, and the other 2 switches are used to control the brightness of the lights. The passenger warning signs provide the passengers and flight attendants with the following signs: no smoking, fasten seat belts, return to seat, and lavatory occupied. Note that the no smoking and fasten seatbelt signs will illuminate automatically in case of depressurization or the cabin altitude exceeding 14,000 feet. The reading and attendant call light system provides adequate lighting for reading and information for attendants regarding passenger or pilot need. The attendant call panel contains the attendant call lights, which provide visual indication to the attendant when a call from the pilots or passengers is received. Test switches installed on the attendant panel are used to check the PSU reading lights, attendant call panel lights, zonal lights, and lavatory lights. The courtesy lights provide lighting for forward and rear main and service door entrances, the cockpit step between the cockpit and the cabin, and the DC ceiling lights mounted on the overhead bins. Courtesy lights are controllable by a switch mounted on the flight attendant panels. The switch gives the crew the option of having the courtesy lights in off or auto mode. Under normal operating conditions, the DC lights are controlled by the cabin lighting system. When normal aircraft power is not available, for example, on ground with the APU not running, it is still possible to use the courtesy lights and DC ceiling lights. In this case, the hot bus provides power to these lights. To conserve battery power, these lights operate on a 5-minute cycle. A reset button located on the flight attendant panels and, as an option, on the cockpit main panel, First Officer, allows an additional 5 minutes of lighting every time the switches are pressed. Lights are installed in service and cargo compartments to provide technical and ground handling personnel with adequate lighting. All of these compartment lights are activated by a micro switch or manually when the respective compartment door is opened. The external lighting system uses high-intensity lights that provide illumination for taxiing, takeoff, and landing procedures. They also provide in-flight orientation and identification of aircraft's position and illuminate the aircraft operator logo. The external light system includes the following subsystems: the landing lights, the taxi lights, the navigation lights, the inspection lights, the logo lights, and the anti-collision lights. In the event of an emergency evacuation, a group of 3 overwing emergency lights located near each overwing emergency exit will illuminate to indicate the evacuation direction. The Embraer 190 has a total of 3 taxi lights with 2 separate switches for appropriate ambient lighting. The 2 taxi lights in the wing to fuselage fairing have a common switch, while the nose wheel taxi light has a separate switch. The nose gear taxi light will automatically extinguish if the nose gear is not in the down-locked position. 2 landing lights are fitted in the wing leading edges, close to the fuselage, and 1 landing light is installed on the nose landing gear assembly. They are each controlled by separate switches located on the overhead panel. 3 navigation lights, nav lights, assemblies are installed inside a transparent cover assembly on each wingtip front and rear side. They are turned on at the external lights panel. Each light assembly has 2 lamps. Normally, only 1 lamp is on, while the other lamp in the light assembly is on standby. The standby lamps operate from a separate electrical source.
If the primary system fails, the standby system can be activated by the maintenance personnel on ground. The logo light system provides illumination of the carrier's logo, which is located on the vertical stabilizer. The logo lights are controlled by a switch located on the overhead panel. Wing inspection lights enable the flight crew to detect ice buildup on the engine intake and wing leading edges. The wing inspection lights are controlled by a switch on the overhead panel. The anti-collision light system includes strobe lights and red beacon lights. The 4 strobe lights supply reference from one aircraft to another when in flight. The strobe lights are controlled by the strobe light switch located on the overhead panel. Red beacon lights are used during ground operations to warn other traffic and airport personnel. One red beacon light is installed on top of the main fuselage, and one is on the lower side of the main fuselage. The red beacon lights are controlled by a switch located on the overhead panel. In case of strobe lights failure, the bright red beacon lights can be selected on the maintenance panel located inside the cockpit. The emergency light system provides lighting in case there is an electrical emergency condition. It provides enough cabin and exterior lighting to assure safe crew and passenger evacuation, even in poor visibility conditions. The emergency lighting system is powered by 6 Emergency Light Power Units, ELPUs. 3 ELPUs are installed in the forward section and 3 in the rear section of the fuselage to ensure power supply in case the cabin breaks apart after a crash landing. The ELPUs automatically provide electrical power to the emergency lights in case of a power loss on the AC Essential bus, if commanded by the crew, if in test mode, or if activated from the flight attendant panel. The ELPUs enable emergency illumination for at least 10 minutes. The ELPUs are recharged by the DC Bus 1. All 6 emergency exits are marked with exit locators, markers, and identifiers which are clearly visible when energized under conditions of complete darkness. For general cabin emergency illumination, floodlight assemblies are installed on the aisle ceiling panels distributed along the fuselage. 4 emergency exit area floodlight assemblies are installed at each exit. Their purpose is to illuminate the passageway leading from the main aisle to each of the 4 exit openings. The floor proximity emergency escape path markings are a photoluminescent type and guide passengers to the nearest exit in conditions of dense smoke. The photoluminescent escape path marking near the overwing emergency exits contain red arrows to indicate the exit route. Once outside, the passengers are provided with LED lighting on the sides of the emergency slides and also by a group of 3 overwing emergency lights located near each overwing emergency exit to indicate the evacuation direction. The emergency light system may be commanded by the emergency light switch located on the overhead panel, or by the attendant emergency light switch located on the attendant control panel. The emergency light switch in the cockpit has 3 positions. In the off position, the emergency lights are permanently turned off. This position prevents the emergency lights from illuminating and the batteries from being drained after normal power shutdown. In the arm position, the emergency lights are in the standby mode, and the batteries are charged. When normal aircraft power is lost, the emergency lights will automatically illuminate by power from the ELPU battery packs. In the on position, the emergency lights are manually turned on and supplied by power from the ELPU battery pack. The emergency light switch on the cabin attendant panel has 2 positions. In the armed position, the emergency lights remain in the mode determined by the cockpit switch. This is the normal flight position. In the on position, the emergency lights are turned on using power from the battery packs, regardless of the cockpit emergency light switch position. The legend ON
located in the attendant control panel, is illuminated to indicate the switch selection mode. Note that the message will be displayed on the ICUS. 2 rechargeable flashlights are provided to help the crew during an emergency condition.